remember the moment Lyle told me he didn't want me going on the trip. It was a Thursday evening. We were curled up on the couch, sharing a pizza and half watching a crime docuseries. My phone kept buzzing with notifications from the group chat. The girls were finalizing the Miami Airbnb, picking out matching outfits, talking about beachside brunches and late-night parties. I had just laughed at a meme someone sent when he glanced over. "Who all's going again?" he asked casually. I rattled off the names without thinking. Talia, Rach, Alina, Chloe, and Marcus. His head turned toward me slowly. "Marcus? As in your ex, Marcus?" I paused, sensing the temperature in the room change. "Yeah," I replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "He's still friends with Talia's boyfriend, and they invited him. I didn't even know until today." Lyle set his pizza slice down and wiped his hands, even though they weren't messy. "And you're still planning to go?" I sighed. "Lyle, come on. It's a group trip. There'll be like 10 of us. I haven't even talked to Marcus in forever. He's irrelevant." He didn't respond at first, just stared ahead, his jaw twitching slightly. "I don't like it," he said finally. "I don't like the idea of you sharing a house with your ex. It's just weird, disrespectful." I sat up straighter. "So you don't trust me?" "It's not that I don't trust you," he said. "It's that I don't trust the situation. Alcohol, old flings, shared memories. It's not a good look. You know that." I could feel the defensiveness rising in my chest. "So what are you saying? I'm not allowed to go?" "I'm saying I wish you wouldn't." And just like that, the warmth between us vanished. I wish I could say I canceled the trip then and there. I wish I could say I valued his boundaries more than a 4-day vacation. But instead, I justified. I rationalized. I told myself I deserved this trip. I hadn't been anywhere with my friends since college. I'd been loyal to Lyle. One trip didn't make me a bad person. I convinced myself it was fine. When I told the girls about Lyle's reaction, Talia rolled her eyes. "It's a girls' trip. You're not going to Miami to hook up with your ex. You're going to dance, drink margaritas, and post thirst traps." Chloe chimed in. "He's being possessive. Don't let him guilt you out of it." I wanted to believe them. I clung to every sentence that made me feel like I wasn't doing something wrong. The morning I left, Lyle barely spoke to me. He helped me load my suitcase into the Uber, but didn't kiss me goodbye. "Just be safe," he said, his voice distant. "I will," I whispered, but it felt hollow. In the back seat, as the driver pulled away, I looked back through the window and saw him standing there, hands in his hoodie pockets, expression unreadable. I should have felt more torn, more conflicted. But at the time, all I felt was freedom. I was escaping routine, escaping responsibility. And for the first 48 hours, it was exactly what I thought it would be. Mimosas, sunburns, drunk karaoke, late-night food runs. I barely saw Marcus. But then came the third night. We were all getting ready to go out, the kind of chaos that only happens when 6 people are fighting over one mirror. Music blared, outfits flew out of suitcases, perfume clouded the air. I came out of the shower wrapped in a towel when I saw Marcus in the hallway, talking to one of the guys. He looked good. I hated that I noticed, but I did. His beard was fuller than I remembered, his shoulders broader. He glanced up, our eyes met for a second, and he gave me a small smile, the kind that brought back muscle memory of old emotions. I nodded politely and went to the room to change, but something stirred in me. Something I hadn't expected. Later that night, after hours of dancing and tequila shots, a few of us came back early while the others stayed out. The Airbnb was quiet. I was tipsy. Marcus was on the balcony, smoking. I joined him without thinking. He handed me the second half of his drink. We sat in silence for a while, watching the cars below. "You look good," he said finally. I laughed awkwardly. "You always say that." Because it's always true. I rolled my eyes, but I didn't move away. You and Lyle serious? He asked. Yeah, been over a year now. He nodded. He's lucky. I stared at my hands. My heart was beating faster than I wanted to admit. Don't do that, I whispered. Do what? Say things you shouldn't. You know I have a boyfriend. He leaned back. I'm not trying to ruin anything, just saying what I feel. And then, silence. A long, dangerous silence. He reached for my hand, and I didn't pull away. It was one kiss. That's what I told myself. One drunken, stupid kiss on a balcony with someone I hadn't thought about in years. I pulled away quickly, muttering something about needing air, and went to bed with my heart pounding in my throat. The next morning, I couldn't look him in the eye. I avoided him, avoided everyone. The guilt had settled into my stomach like a brick. I didn't cheat. Not really. Not technically. Right? When I got back home, Lyle didn't greet me at the door. I found him in the kitchen, arms crossed, face hard. How was the trip? He asked. Fun, I said cautiously. Relaxing. He nodded once. You sleep with him? I froze. What? Marcus, did you sleep with him? No, I snapped. Of course not. He stared at me, expression unreadable. Did you kiss him? My throat went dry. I said nothing. And that silence said everything. Lyle walked out that night. No yelling, no accusations. Just pain. Thick, quiet, and devastating. I called him the next day. And the next. Left long messages filled with apologies, explanations, promises. He didn't respond. I tried to convince myself it wasn't that bad. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. But I knew better. Because it wasn't just the kiss. It was the lie. The betrayal of trust. The decision to go in the first place when I knew it made him uncomfortable. It was choosing myself over our relationship. Weeks passed. Then months. I heard from Chloe that Lyle was seeing someone new, someone calm, someone safe. She didn't take reckless trips with exes. And me? I haven't gone on a vacation since. I still scroll through our old photos sometimes, wondering what would have happened if I'd said no to that trip. If I had just stayed home. If I had chosen him. I didn't hear him come in. That's what I kept replaying in my head later. Not the moment he saw me. Not what I said. Just that one thing. I didn't hear him come in. Because if I had, none of this would have happened like it did. Or at least, that's what I told myself. The truth was, it would have happened eventually. Just not like this. Not all at once. Not in a way I couldn't take back. That afternoon was supposed to be simple. Daniel had texted me that morning. Working late today. That mattered, more than anything else. Because it meant I had time. Time to control everything. Time to make sure nothing overlapped. Time to keep things separate. That's how I thought about it. Separate. Like I had two versions of my life. And as long as they didn't touch, everything would be fine. It sounds stupid now. But at the time, it made sense. His name was Evan. And it didn't start the way people think. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't reckless. It was slow. Careful. Easy to justify. We worked together. Not closely. Just enough to talk. Just enough to notice each other. And then one day, we started talking more. And then more than that. And then it became something I didn't want to name. Because naming it would have made it real. And if it was real, I would have had to stop. But I didn't stop. Because it felt contained. Controlled. Like something I could step in and out of. Like it didn't touch the rest of my life. I was wrong. That afternoon, I let him come over. Something I hadn't done before. That was the first mistake. Because my house was supposed to be off limits. A line I told myself I wouldn't cross. But I did. Because I thought I had time. Because I thought I was safe. Because Daniel wasn't supposed to be home. We kept things quiet. Careful. Like that somehow made it better. Like that somehow meant we weren't really doing anything wrong. I remember laughing at something Evan said. Soft. Trying not to be too loud. And that's when I heard it. A sound. Faint. So faint I almost ignored it. The front door. Closing. My entire body froze. Did you hear that? I whispered. Evan frowned. Hear what? My heart started pounding. Because I knew that sound. I had heard it 1,000 times. The way the door clicked. The way it settled. It wasn't something you could mistake. Someone's here, I said. And the moment the words left my mouth, I knew who it was. There was no other option. Daniel. He said he'd be working late, Evan said. I shook my head. I know. But that didn't matter anymore. Because he was here. And we weren't supposed to overlap. Not like this. Not ever. Go, I said quickly. Where? I don't know, just go. Panic was setting in now. Fast. Too fast to think clearly. Evan grabbed his things, moved toward the back door. And that's when it happened. A voice. From the hallway. Who's here? Everything stopped. Because there was no pretending now. No hiding. No fixing it. Daniel had heard us. Maybe not everything. But enough. Enough to know something was wrong. Evan froze. I froze. And for a second, no one moved. Then Daniel stepped into the doorway. And everything became real. His eyes moved from me. To Evan. And then back to me. No confusion. No hesitation. Just understanding. And that was worse. Because it meant he didn't need an explanation. What is this? He asked. His voice calm. Too calm. My mouth opened. But nothing came out. Because there was nothing I could say that would make this make sense. Evan stepped back slightly. Like he already knew he didn't belong there. I can explain, I said. But even as I said it, I knew how pointless it sounded. Daniel let out a slow breath. I'm sure you can, he said. And something about the way he said it, not angry, just done, made it worse. Get out, he said. I didn't know if he meant me or Evan, but Evan didn't wait to find out. He left, quick, silent, like he had never been there. And just like that, it was just me and Daniel, standing in the middle of something I couldn't undo. How long? He asked, his voice steady. A few months, I said. The truth, because lying now didn't matter. Daniel nodded slowly, like he had already expected it. Like this wasn't a shock, just confirmation. I told you I was working late, he said. I know. My meeting got canceled. That was it. That was the reason. The one thing I couldn't control. I came home, he continued, and I heard voices. Silence. And now we're here. That was it. That was all it took. No dramatic buildup, no complicated chain of events, just one moment, one overlap, one mistake. I didn't plan for this, I said. And the second I said it, I realized how bad that sounded. Because it wasn't a denial. It was just an explanation of logistics. Daniel shook his head slightly. That's the problem, he said. You planned everything else. That hit harder than anything else, because he was right. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was something I had built, piece by piece, and it had finally collapsed. "I don't think I can fix this," he said. And just like that, it was over. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just clearly. That night he didn't leave. I did, because he asked me to. And for the first time, I didn't argue. I packed a bag. Not much. Just enough. And when I walked out, he didn't stop me, didn't say anything, didn't even look at me. And somehow, that hurt more than anything else. The next few days were quiet. No messages, no calls, just silence. And in that silence, everything felt heavier, more real. Because there was nothing left to distract me from it. Evan texted once. "Are you okay?" I stared at it. And for the first time, I saw it differently. Not something exciting. Not something worth risking everything for. Just something temporary. Something easy. Something that wasn't real. I didn't respond. A week later, Daniel called. "Can you come by?" he asked, his voice calm, neutral. I knew what that meant. When I got there, the house felt different, quieter, like something had already ended. Daniel was sitting at the table, papers in front of him. "I don't think there's a way back from this," he said. No hesitation, no emotion, just truth. "I understand," I said. Because I did. Because I knew if it were the other way around, I wouldn't be able to either. We didn't argue, didn't fight. There was nothing left to fight for. We just ended. And in the end, that's what stayed with me. Not the moment he walked in, not the look on his face, but the one thing I got wrong. The one thing I thought I controlled. Because I didn't think it would overlap. I didn't think it would happen like that. I thought I had time. I thought the house was empty. I was wrong. I'm writing this because I can't sleep. And because the version of myself that existed before this happened feels like someone else entirely. I used to believe that your past only mattered if you let it define you. That who you were before a relationship didn't really matter as long as you were loyal during it. I was wrong. My fiancé and I were together for 4 years, engaged for 1, wedding planned, deposits paid, invitations sent, dress fitted, guest list finalized, seating chart done. The whole thing. He was kind in the quietest way. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just steady. The kind of man who shows up when he says he will. The kind of man who remembers things without being reminded. The kind of man who builds a life instead of chasing excitement. I loved him. I really did. But I also carried this secret fear that if he knew who I used to be, he would look at me differently. Before him, my life was chaotic. Partying, hookups, attention chasing, validation seeking. I don't say that proudly. It's just the truth. I wasn't evil. I wasn't cruel. I just didn't value myself very much, and I filled that hole with male attention. When we started dating, I didn't lie outright. But I didn't tell the full truth either. He asked about my past early on. I gave him a softened version. A few relationships, some dating. Nothing serious. He didn't press. He trusted me, and I let him. Over time, I convinced myself it didn't matter. That who I was before him had nothing to do with who I was with him. That my loyalty, my commitment, my love now was what counted. We built a life. Moved in together, adopted a dog, talked about kids, bought furniture together, made plans, shared routines, became that boring, beautiful kind of stable couple everyone assumes will last forever. When he proposed, I cried real tears. Happy tears, grateful tears, relieved tears. I thought my life had finally become something clean and stable and safe. But the past doesn't disappear just because you stop looking at it. The cracks started when one of my old friends re-entered my life. Not an ex, just someone who knew the old version of me. The version I had buried. The version my fiancé had never met. She didn't mean to cause harm. She just didn't realize what I had hidden. We were at a group dinner. My fiancé was there. Drinks were flowing, stories were being told. Laughing. Nostalgia. Harmless at first. Then she made a joke. Something about your wild phase and all those guys and how much you'd changed. It was said casually, lightly, like a harmless memory. But I felt my stomach drop. My fiancé didn't react immediately. He just looked at me. Not angry, not suspicious, just confused. Later that night, he asked, "What did she mean by that?" I laughed it off, minimized it. Just stupid old jokes. College stuff. You know how people exaggerate. He didn't push, but something shifted. A few days later, he asked again. More directly, calmly, gently. "How many people have you actually been with?" This time I hesitated. And that hesitation told him everything. I tried to control the damage. I admitted it was more than I'd said before. But I still minimized, still softened, still framed it in ways that made it sound less significant. He listened. Quietly. No yelling, no accusations, no insults. Just silence. The next week, he asked to talk again. Said he had questions. Real questions. And then I found out what had happened. He had reached out to someone from my past. Someone he'd found through social media. Someone who knew me before him. Someone who had no loyalty to me. No reason to protect me. And no understanding of the life I had built. They told him everything. Not with cruelty, just with honesty. They didn't exaggerate. They didn't dramatize. They just described the version of me I had tried to erase. When he confronted me, I knew immediately. His eyes looked different. Like the man I loved was still there, but the way he saw me had changed permanently. He didn't yell. That almost made it worse. He just said, "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" I didn't have a good answer, because the real answer was, I was afraid he wouldn't love me if he knew. And now he didn't. The wedding was 3 months away. 3 months. Everything collapsed in slow motion. He didn't cancel immediately. At first, he said he needed time, space, clarity. He moved into the guest room. The house felt cold, quiet, heavy. We stopped touching, stopped joking, stopped being us. Every conversation felt fragile, like one wrong sentence would shatter whatever was left. Finally, one night, he sat across from me at the kitchen table and said the words I still hear in my dreams. "I can't marry you." Not, "I don't love you." Not, "I hate you." Just, "I can't marry you." He said trust isn't just about cheating. It's about honesty, transparency, feeling safe with the person you're building a life with. He said he felt like he didn't actually know me. The wedding was canceled. Explaining that to people was a nightmare. Friends, family, coworkers, vendors, parents. Everyone asking questions I couldn't answer honestly without destroying my reputation. So I let the story become vague. We realized we weren't ready. We needed different things. It just didn't feel right anymore. But people always assume. And they assumed it was me. They weren't wrong. The aftermath was worse than the breakup. He moved on quietly. No drama, no public mess, no social media chaos, no bitterness. He focused on himself. He got in shape. Not in a flashy way. In a calm, disciplined way. Therapy. Gym. New hobbies. New routines. New friends. He started glowing in that peaceful way people do when they finally feel aligned with their life. I stayed stuck. Dating felt impossible. I compared everyone to him. Stability felt boring. Excitement felt empty. Nothing felt right. Then he started dating someone new. Not immediately, but steadily. And she was everything I wasn't. Calm, soft-spoken, grounded, warm, secure. No chaos energy, no validation addiction, no attention-seeking. She fit into his life instead of disrupting it. Seeing them together broke something in me. Not because I wanted him back, but because I realized what I had lost wasn't just him. It was the life we were building. The version of myself I could have become with him. The future that no longer existed. He didn't win because he replaced me. He won because he healed. He built a better life without needing revenge, bitterness, or validation. And I stayed trapped in regret. The cruelest part is this. I didn't lose him because of who I was in the past. I lost him because I lied about it. I tried to control the narrative instead of trusting him with the truth. I decided what he could and couldn't handle instead of letting him choose. And in doing that, I proved I wasn't ready for the kind of relationship I claimed I wanted. If you're hiding parts of yourself from someone you love, thinking it doesn't matter, it does. Not because of the past itself, but because love built on half-truths isn't safe. Sometimes the worst consequence isn't losing the person. It's watching them become happier without you.